Hello, welcome back to Talk with Sharifa. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa and my music name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out my How I Became a Targeted Individual summary and or full story. And the links to both of those videos are located in the description box as well as in the comment section. This is not a long video, guys. This is actually kind of a sequel to my last video. So I guess you could say this is part 2, sharing pertinent information about the Targeted Individual Program. Just kind of expounding on what I mentioned in my last video, where I was talking about the shadow networking that is used on targeted individuals to paint false narratives, to mess with them psychologically, etc. I just wanted to show you all an example of what shadow networking looks like. Because I did, as I mentioned in that last video, have prior videos where I talked about targeting through the TV. That's the terminology that I was using before I learned about shadow networking. And so now I have an example to show you all, because those videos that I had before where I was calling it targeting through the TV, i.e. shadow networking, those videos got deleted. And I do have a few videos still posted where I talked about it, but not where I was actually showing y'all an example of what they do. So this is a clear example of what I mean when I say targeting through the TV or shadow networking. They'll literally take whatever social media app you're using at the moment. So for example, YouTube, what I'm about to show you, and they'll throw videos into your recommended with subliminal messaging to sensitize you. So whatever your stimuli is, as a target, different targets have different stimuli that they try to sensitize you to. And so for me, if you listen to my full story, you'll hear some of the stimuli. One of the things that they use, one of the main things they use because of the text message that I sent is keys, excuse me. Another thing that they like to use or try to weaponize against me is my relationship with my siblings. And particularly at the moment, my younger sister, because of something that I mentioned in my story. So that's part of the constant stimuli that they send to me. And that kind of plays off of what I shared in my last video with Lornetta, where she was saying, be careful what you say because this is a computer simulation. So basically anything that I've said in my story, they've taken it and they've created some sort of warped, false narrative, and they try to weaponize it against me. And so they do the targeting through the TV, i.e. shadow networking, to propel and perpetuate the false narrative that they've created with the different things that I've said. So you really do have to be careful what you say in this program, because they will use everything against you and try to create false narratives. So it's important that you're positive and you only push out positivity. It's literally the law of attraction, guys. Anyways, let me show y'all what I'm talking about when I say targeting to the TV, right? So the first thing, this is my newsfeed, y'all. You can see it's random stuff, right? This is my newsfeed, right? So I'm scrolling through. This is another one too. Look at this. It says, listen to your elders' advice, not because they are always right, but because they have more experience in being wrong. That's part of it. If you listen to my full story, you'll hear how that's part of it. Some of the people in my close circle, I try not to mention family members and relationships. Even just mentioning my younger sister just now is a big no-no. But I'm doing that because what I'm about to show you, how they use the AI generator or the shadow networking program software that they have that they use on targets. I wanted to show you an example of how they do that. And so one of the things that, I did mention in my full story, and I think in my summary as well, was something about my younger sister and our relationship. And that was something that they weaponized against me majorly. One of the main things they have weaponized against me. There are 3 things that they started to focus on when I got back from trying to relocate off island. After my targeting went viral, and I decided to start making videos and telling my story, my candidness came back to bite me in the ass, because they literally took everything that I said in my story and started creating these weird false narratives, and they use their shadow networking AI software to try to sensitize me to certain stimuli, to perpetuate whatever false narrative it is that they're trying to create. So this is one of the videos. Remember, I told y'all one of the things that they like to say to me, and I realize it's not just a me thing. I don't remember which video I talked about this in, but one of the tactics that they like to use against targets is fear mongering. So making you feel fearful for your life and making you feel like your time is running out or the clock is ticking. I thought that was just something that they did to me, but I realized that they do it to other targets as well. Because there was a target, I forgot his full name, I think it's Nigel Nicholson. I was on his page watching his videos, and I remember one of his videos, he was talking about the fact that they're always looking down at their watch with him, right? Listen. You heard the person just ref by? I don't know if the video picked up on it. I'm not certain. Doesn't matter to me. That person's probably microchipped. They zoom by in a red vehicle. And unfortunately, the house that I moved to is right next to the road. So the houses are super close together, the neighborhood I moved to now, from the prior neighborhood. And then also right next to the road. So you can imagine the gang stalking's worse. But I mean, how much worse can it be? They're staring at you 24/7. You're hearing noise campaigns regardless of where you go. But anyway, so somebody in a red car just zoomed by. I hope the video picked up on it. When I said the clock is ticking thing, you're not scaring me. I walk with the Most High, I fear not. So you could keep with all that BS, right? That's how I feel at this point. But that's one of the tactics they use. It's psychological warfare. It's called soft warfare. Like I said in that prior video that this one is a sequel to, it's actually called soft warfare. So they use their shadow networking technology or AI software to help with the psychological warfare, i.e. soft warfare. That's the actual term. It's called soft warfare. So that's what's going on here with innocent civilians. They're doing soft warfare when it's really just under the guise of soft warfare. What it really is experimentation. So they've deemed you as terrorists or target, whatever it is, whatever moniker they're throwing on you. But it's really experimentation at the end of the day. So you got, check out my recent videos and y'all will know what I'm talking about with that. Don't start here. Listen to my full story and then check out my other videos and you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you're interested in no, I don't want to leave this page. But basically a few videos back, I did post a video with a DARPA scientist, right? So he works for DARPA, and he's also a Harvard scientist. And he talked about what the agenda of this program really is and why you're seeing people that are innocent being targeted, what the true agenda is. So it's really experimentation at the end of the day. Not going to expound on that too much further. You got to check that video out, guys. And I would go over and show you, but I want to show you what's on this page and I don't want it to reload. So I'm scared to leave this page. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent anyway. Not really, but in a way I am. So let me just show y'all, right? So part of my stimuli is them doing the clock is ticking thing, also weaponizing my relationship with my younger sister against me, right? So I'm scrolling through my newsfeed, right? And I see this. It says, when you realize on air that your sister stole your watch. So it's, again, the stimuli or the sensitization, false narrative with my younger sister and I, right? The play on that. But then also the clock is ticking because the watch is thrown in there. They use watches and time as a major part of my stimuli to sensitize me. So let me show y'all.
Now, Draymond understands that he has to play with a certain level of mindfulness throughout the rest of the playoffs, right? He can't pick up much more flagrant points or else it could result in a suspension. But Malika, we all know that Draymond wears his reputation like a badge of honor. And he said, I will
understand even that. I think is stimuli for me because they try to make it seem like I'm this pig-headed person that I don't know. It almost seems like they're trying to say that I'm glorifying what's going on with me when that's not the case. I'm just not easy to break, and really that's what annoys them. But I think they try to make it like I'm wearing what's going on with me like a badge of honor because I do get stimuli like that as well. When that's not the case. I'm just one of those people that when I'm right, I know I'm right and I fight hard. And that's just what it is at the end of the day.
Not take any bite out of the way that I play, because then we're going to go home early and any of those flagrant points, they're not going to matter anymore. Well, they're going to need Draymond Green for this series and beyond. Kendra, thank you so much. Is that my watch? Yeah. Yes. That's my watch. That is my watch. Richard, wow. How would I have taken your watch?
Yeah, look, I'm going to stay out of this.
Also, guys, another part of my stimuli is being a thief. Because in my story, I talked about the fact that my roommate, one of the reasons why I thought she might have done something spiritual against me, like witchcraft, which also became stimuli for me, guys. They constantly send things about witchcraft and things like that, but try to paint this false narrative like I did it because of what I said in my full story about my roommate. When I didn't directly say she did it, I said I suspected it because of certain things that happened to me throughout the course of the years, following me moving out from her. But anyways, another thing that they like to do is try and throw the thief thing in there, because I talked about one of the correlations I made between the roommate and myself was after moving out from her. I had this incident in my early 20s when I was still in college for the first time, when I was working at Walmart. I still lived in Tallahassee at the time. I talked about this in my full story, my summary, and I think another video I talked about it. I've talked about it in several videos. But one of the things that made me feel like something spiritual was going on was that this weird thing happened at the Walmart, similar to what's happening to me now as a Target, where I didn't do anything wrong. And it was literally just like this innocent situation that created this big storm for me, where I was being monitored and, nothing like what's going on now, nowhere near as severe. But that was my first taste of what's happening now in my early 20s at the Walmart. So basically, I was working at this Walmart. I'm not going to tell the whole story again, but I'm just trying to tell y'all where the thief stimuli comes into my targeting, because I talked about it in my full story. And like Lornetta said, this is a computer simulation. Everything is technology. So they use their little shadow networking AI system to start throwing stuff at me in my newsfeed about thieves as well, right? So anyway, in the Walmart, this weird incident happened where my older sister came in with my niece and my brother-in-law, and they just came in to buy Pampers, and they also wanted to cash a check. So basically what they were trying to do was pay for the Pampers. You can do that at some stores. They wanted to pay for it with the check, and then basically in that way cash the check and get the refund back, whatever the difference would be. So I remember them coming to my register, and at this time I had only been working in the Walmart for about 2 months. So it's not that hard to learn the register. It's not complicated. I learned it rather quickly, and I felt like this was something I could figure out how to do. So I wasn't aware of the fact that this wasn't something that you could do and actually was against policy. I didn't know that. I hadn't ever encountered the situation before. So for me, I was like, okay, I know at other stores you can do this. You can use a check at the register, pay for whatever, get the difference. So I was like, I'm sure you could do it here as well, and I can figure it out myself. So I remember just kind of turning off my light, walking with my sister to the aisle, the diaper aisle, and kind of playing with my niece a little bit, and them getting the diapers, and we're talking, normal stuff. Things were normal back then, nothing weird like what's happening now. And then them coming to my register, and it was empty that day too. It wasn't that many people there. Even though it was a super Walmart, it was out in the suburbs. So it never really used to get too packed unless it was like a holiday. So I was able to do that. I had the luxury of turning my light off and going with my sister to the aisle, and looking for the diapers. So I remember now we came back to my register. I turned my light on, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this thing with the check. And I couldn't figure it out. I'm looking through, I'm like, I don't want to call the CSM over. And the CSM is just the manager over all the cashiers. It's like, I don't want to call the CSM over. I'm sure I can figure this out on my own. And when I realized I couldn't figure it out, I started flashing my light on and off. Now, if I were trying to do anything, and this is very similar to what's happening to me right now, do I look stupid? I mean, don't even answer. I wouldn't even say to answer that because, whatever. But I'm not stupid. I'm not going to call you over to my register if I'm trying to pull a scam or if I'm trying to do something, right? If I'm trying to steal. Same thing with the text message. I'm not going to tell you or send you a text ratting on myself if I'm doing something wrong. It's just common sense, really. And I think it's just like this thing where they're perpetuating certain things because they don't like me as a person and they think I bear false witness. But anyway, so in this situation with the Walmart, called the CSM over, I started flashing my light and I was asking her how I can do what I was trying to do. And so I remember her getting like this kind of stoic expression, she looked serious and she told me, don't ever cash a check at the register. All checks must be dealt with at the money center. And so then she told me to turn my light off. So I remember turning my light off, like, no problem. I knew I wasn't trying to do nothing wrong. I wasn't even feeling nervous. I didn't even think it would turn into anything. So I remembered her walking my sister over to the money center, and I'm kind of just standing there with my light off waiting for her to come back. And then she came back over and she basically just told me, again, just reiterated what she had just told me. Don't ever do that again. Don't ever try to deal with a check at my register. So I said, no problem. I had no issue with it. And I, again, still not realizing that this would turn into something. So she walks off, right? And as I'm turning my light on, the asset protection guy that I had met when I first started working at the Walmart, big burly guy, big bald burly guy, like those typical, like stereotypical security guards that you see on like movies and stuff. He looked like one of your really like stereotypical security guards, big, huge, buff, bald guy. And he's just kind of like leering at me, the way I described it in my video was that he had like this, not a grimace, it was more so like a snarl, like a dog or a pit bull that's like skinning back its mouth, like it's about to attack you. That's similar to how he was looking at me. And I'm just like, what the hell? I'm like, why is he looking at me like this? And why is he on top of me? Because I knew he was the asset protection guy. In training, I had met him. So I knew who he was. He was the head of the asset protection department. It wasn't even like one of the guys working under him. It was the head. Like, why is he here at my register snarling at me like this? I'm like, what the hell? And so I remember shaking, like literally feeling like I was shaking in my boots because I'm like, why is he looking at me like this? Does he think I was trying to do something? That's how I felt. And I remembered after that moment, from there on, for the remainder of my duration of working at that Walmart, which was like a good 7 months after that incident, he would stalk me at the register. So he'd be kind of following me from register to register, kind of casing me, you know, like just watching me and making sure that I see him watching me. It was this weird thing with him. It was creepy and weird. And it all derived from an innocent situation. And it's very similar to what's happening to me now as a target. But of course, it's way worse as a target. But these are the type of weird, kind of creepy situations I've dealt with from my early 20s to now, where I feel like it's something spiritual going on, where it's like deriving from something innocent, and I'm like getting this severe backlash punishment that it's like overkill and overdue, and it's like, what the hell is going on? And so this is why I adamantly felt like something spiritual was going on and why I talked about it in my story. I'm going off on a tangent, I believe. I'm not. I needed to say what I said, but I am starting to go off on a tangent. So that's why the thief thing is stimuli for me, because basically when I mentioned that asset protection story, then I also kind of correlated it with something that happened to my roommate, where she actually was, I kind of feel bad for saying that on camera. I never said her name, right? So the only people that would know who she is obviously her, if she were listening to me talking about this. And of course, the people in my close circle who already knew about this stuff. But I just wanted to say that in my story because I thought it was such an odd coincidence, you know, because shortly before moving out from her, we gave her a ride to Walmart and she genuinely was stealing. She did kind of have like this little pickpocket problem. Not a big deal. I'm not judging her for it. And we were young back then. We were in our early 20s. But she did kind of have a pickpocket problem where she'd grab like lip gloss or little small things that she didn't need and steal. And so my sister and I used to laugh at her. But then after a while, we started hitting her hand and trying to stop her from doing it. And so she actually got caught, you know, shortly before moving out from us. We had given her a ride to the Walmart to get groceries. And she got caught doing that, basically pickpocketing. And the asset protection man of all people saw her on the camera doing that. And so basically she let us know what happened, what took her so long to come out the Walmart. And the cops, I believe, they gave her a break. I think they were telling her if she did community service, they would expunge it off her record. So I don't know if that ever did happen or not. Hopefully that did work out for her. But I do remember that was something that happened. So for me to now move out of the Walmart, move out from her. And then shortly after I start working at Walmart and have a similar situation with the asset protection man, except I actually wasn't doing anything. And this man starts stalking me like literally for 7 months straight, acting like I'm a thief. I just thought that was so weird. It was just one of those correlations I made where I felt like something spiritual was going on. But you got to listen to my full story, guys. If you're just listening to this video, it's going to sound like, you know, off and crazy. And you're not going to really be able to hear everything that I talked about as it pertains to that roommate. You need to hear my full story, or at least my summary. But mainly the full story is where I talked about that situation. But that was one of the correlations I made that kind of, it could have just been a coincidence or synchronicity. But I just thought it was so odd. It's like, of all places, to Walmart and the asset protection man. I'm like, what? And he's stalking me and, you know, like this monitoring spirit type thing. And I didn't do anything. It was so weird. And similar to kind of what I'm dealing with now as a target at age 31. But anyway, so that's where the thief thing came in. Remember, everything that you say turns into stimuli. So that's where the thief thing became stimuli for me. So that's one of the things that they use their shadow networking to torment me psychologically with. You know, they throw stimuli or videos at me in my newsfeed on YouTube with things about stealing, you know, the clock is ticking, time running out, things about, you know, siblings and rivalries and things of that nature. These are the type of things they throw at me. Anyway, so there was a bunch of stimuli in that one video I just showed you, right? There's more, right? So, oh God, it loaded up. I didn't want that to happen. Shit. Dang, I did too much talking, man. I did too much talking. I wanted to show y'all. It was like back-to-back shadow networking. So it wasn't just this video that I'm in. They had 2 other videos, it's gone now, with stimuli in it that I wanted to show you all. I'm sure I could find something right now if I really just click on any of these things, really. But that's just an example. At least I showed you one video because that one video had a bunch of stimuli in it. But there were more videos underneath that. But as you can see, it's reloaded. The page loaded again. But this is what I'm talking about when I say targeting through the TV. Like literally whatever app you're on, technological app, they use their shadow networking. That's the actual term for it now. Now I know. There's shadow networking software, AI software, to hack everything and send you literally to your recommended videos with stimuli in it to sensitize you. And they do that 24/7 in addition to noise campaigns and the other tactics that they use. And so they're programming you. It's MK Ultra programming at the end of the day. There's no way you're not going to get programmed when you're having constantly this stimuli being thrown at you. So that subliminal programming is happening, and then they're doing noise campaigns in the background. They're programming you. So eventually you start to recognize, it's called sensitization, the stimuli, and you start to have feelings towards the stimuli. You start to have reactions towards the stimuli. It's programming. Anyways, I just want to show y'all an example of that. So this is part 2 to my last video. And I kind of went off on a tangent, not really because I talked about what I wanted to talk about, but at the same time, I wanted y'all to see the other stimuli too. So you can see it's just back-to-back videos sometimes that they'll throw in my recommended, just full of stimuli. You know, and it almost feels like if you don't understand this program and know that this is a program and that you're not crazy, it would feel like you're crazy. You know, this is why for schizophrenia, which is a fictitious illness, by the way, one of the symptoms is feeling like the TV or the radio is talking to you, because it is. They're using their actual government software program. It's called shadow networking. It's an actual thing, as I showed you on the last video. They're using that on targeted individuals. And so you'll start to feel, if you're gaslit good enough and you don't do your research, you might start to believe you're crazy. And you might start to feel like, oh, the radio's sending me subliminal messages. The TV, the videos I'm watching on YouTube sending me subliminal messages. Not knowing that that is really happening. It's not you. You're not crazy. They're using their software, their AI shadow networking software, to do soft warfare on you and mess with you psychologically. So the best way to combat it is do your research, learn the terms, learn the software and the programs and the tactics that they use in the program, and talk about it. Not just talk about it, share examples and evidence of it, so you have not only proof that you're not crazy, but then also too, you can help other people that are experiencing the same thing. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out.